Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel, Romans 9:20. I'm Ronald, and it's great to have you joining me today. Now, before we jump into our deep dive, here's a fascinating fact. Did you know that the journey described in Numbers chapter 33 covers almost 40 years of wandering and lists 42 different stopping places? That's a lot of moving. But today we're not just looking at the travel itinerary, we're uncovering profound lessons hidden within this ancient roadmap. Get ready to see how God's faithfulness and our obedience are intricately linked, even in the longest journeys of life. Numbers chapter 33 serves as a historical travel log, meticulously detailing every single encampment of the Israelites from their miraculous exodus out of Egypt all the way to the plains of Moab, just before they entered the Promised Land. It's a chronological record of the 40-year journey, highlighting God's constant presence and guidance through various terrains and challenges. And more than just a list of places, it highlights God's faithfulness in leading his people. This chapter concludes with a crucial command from God to the Israelites that once they enter Canaan, they must completely drive out all of its inhabitants and destroy their idols, warning them of their severe consequences if they fail to do so. This instruction sets the stage for the next phase of their journey, the conquest of the Promised Land. Did you notice that the text says drive out all the inhabitants? It doesn't say to kill them, it says to drive them out. In verses 1 and 2, these verses introduce detailed records of the Israelites' journeys organized by their starting points and encampments as commanded by Moses. It notes that this is the account of their travels led by Moses and Aaron as they left Egypt. This sets the stage. It's not just a casual list, it's a divinely commanded, meticulously kept record. It emphasizes that their journey was under God's direct guidance, with Moses and Aaron and his appointed leaders, and every step was part of a much larger plan. Then in verses 3 and 4, they set out from Ramesses in the first month on the 15th day of the first month, the day after Passover. The Israelites marched out boldly in full view of all the Egyptians, while the Egyptians were busy burying their firstborn, whom the Lord had struck down. The Lord had also executed judgment on their gods. Now, this marks the dramatic start of their freedom. Leaving Ramesses, the heart of their slavery, immediately after the Passover and the devastating plagues, highlights God's power and deliverance. It was a public, undeniable act of liberation, demonstrating God's victory over Pharaoh and the gods of Egypt. Verses 5 through 15, this section lists their early encampments. These initial stops highlight both challenges and provisions. Mara showed God's ability to turn bitterness into sweetness. Elim provided a refreshing oasis, and Redaheim demonstrated God's miraculous provision of water. Each stop was a lesson on dependence on God, proving his faithfulness even in harsh environment. Verses 16 through 36, the mid-journey encampments. This long list continues their journey through various desert locations. This extensive list might seem repetitive, but it highlights the sheer length and difficulty of their journey. Each name represents a period of their lives, days, weeks, and months spent in one place, facing different conditions. It's a testament to God's patient leading, moving them from one point to the next, even when the path was long and difficult. And then we see in verses 37 to 39, they moved from Kadesh and encamped at Mount Hor on the border of Edom. There, Aaron the priest went up to the mountain at the Lord's command and died on the first day of the 5th month of the 40th year after the Israelites left Egypt. Aaron was 123 years old when he died on Mount Hor. This is a significant moment in their journey, making the end of an era. Aaron, Moses' brother and high priest, passes away. This event reminds us of the passing of generations and the continuity of God's plan, even as leaders change. It's a somber but important marker of their long path. And then verses 40 to 49 are the final stages to Moab. The narrative briefly mentions the Canaanite king of Arad, who heard of their coming. And then their journey continues with more stops before finally reaching the plains of Moab by the Jordan River opposite Jericho. These are the final legs of the epic journey, bringing them to the very doorstep of the Promised Land. Now, after decades of wandering, they are now within sight of their destination. The mention of the Canaanite king shows that the challenges are not over. New adversaries will await them. Verses 50 through 56, the Lord spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab, commanding the Israelites that when they cross the Jordan into Canaan, they must drive out all the inhabitants, destroy their carved images and molten idols, and demolish their high places. They are to take possession of the land and settle in it, for God has given it to them. He warns them that if they do not drive out the inhabitants, those remaining will become thorns in their sides and trouble in their eyes, harassing them in the land where they live. Furthermore, God warns them that if they fail to drive them out, he will do to them what he had planned to do to the inhabitants. This is the crucial instruction for their future. God isn't just giving them land, he's giving them a mission. The command to drive out the inhabitants and destroy idols is about spiritual purity and complete obedience. Now, the warning is stark. Partial obedience leads to persistent problems and ultimately God's judgment. It emphasizes that fully possessing God's promises requires radical obedience and renewing anything that hinders his will. The main theme of Numbers chapter 33 is twofold. God's unwavering faithfulness in guiding his people through every step of their journey, and the absolute necessity of full obedience to possess his promises. The detailed list of encampments serve as a powerful testament to God's constant presence, leading, providing for, and protecting the Israelites over decades. He never abandons them, even when they strayed. However, the chapter's conclusion shifts focus to the Israelites' responsibility. God has faithfully brought them to the threshold of the promised land, but entering and truly possessing it requires their active and complete obedience. The command to drive out the inhabitants and destroy idols isn't just about physical conquests. It's about the spiritual imperative to remove all obstacles and influences that could corrupt their relationship with God. Now, in our modern lives, this chapter speaks volumes. We often experience long journeys, whether it's working toward a personal goal, navigating a career path, or growing in our faith. This chapter reminds us that God is faithful through every stop and start, every challenge and provision. He leads us even when the path seems long and unclear. But just as he is faithful, he also calls us to full obedience. Now, what obedience or idols do we need to drive out of our lives today? What compromises are we making that might hinder us from fully possessing the blessings and purposes that God has for us? This chapter encourages us to trust God's leading and to commit to thorough obedience, ensuring that we don't leave any thorn that could cause future trouble. And there you have it. That's the journey through Numbers chapter 33. I hope this breakdown has shown you the incredible depth and practical wisdom found in what might seem like a simple list of places. The lesson on God's faithfulness and our need for full obedience are truly timeless. Now, if this video resonated with you, sparked a new thought, or helped you understand this chapter better, please consider hitting that subscribe button, leaving a comment below to share your insights, and sharing this video with a friend or family member. Your support helps Romans 9:20 continue to grow and share these powerful truths. Until the next time, stay blessed and keep walking in his truth.